Monday Nasties, how you doing? Welcome to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Hernan Salas, it's Joaquin Gage, it's Zach Kubusch in the house for the next 2 hours. You can listen to us live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tune in or the iHeartRadio apps you like to watch us. Hit us up on the EST YouTube channel and hit up the Nasty Chat. Text us 780-218-9999. And of course, if you want to hit us up on our socials, Twitter at Yag Sports Talk, at Hernan the Man, at Joaquin Gage 31, at Zachary HMK. And the good old IG is Edmonton Sports Talk. Fun show ahead tonight. I forgot my lineup, but that's okay. I got it on my laptop, on the good old handy laptop. We're going to talk lots of Oilers. It's the Stanley Cup rematch. Florida Panthers in town after being shuttled twice in a row in their last 2 games here at Gager. But it's going to be a fun show. George Richards from Florida Hockey Now at 1:40. And we'll talk lots of NHL and NFL. Some rumors are swirling. Gager, my man, you are remote today, but you're fine. You're 120%.
Oh, yeah. I'm Wesley Two Scoops. 160%. I think he was rolling at back in the American Gladiator days. Sorry, Nanso. It was a late. Had to call an audible.
Yeah,
my daughter. I don't know. She obviously the toughness gene skipped. I don't know what happened, but no, she's got back spasms.
Oh boy.
And so it's a little rough. Had to go get some medicine and some Voltaren for the back, and proceeded to pick her up from school and made sure I hit every single bump on the way home.
Boy.
And she was crying and laughing at the same time. So just I don't know. It's the end of the year, but I think I sealed up Father of the Year here.
So that's just from dancing and just one of those injuries, right? That's going to come sooner or later, right?
Yeah, and it's just the only thing that really, the way she described it was, I never had much back issues actually until after I quit playing, and probably just not taking care of my body as well as I did before, right? So things start to get tight. You don't stretch as much, and then just that nerve pinches, goes down your back into your hip, sometimes into the front of your quad, and you all you can do is wait for those muscles to relax and that pinch nerve to subside a little bit. But it sucks. She goes, it was funny. My daughter goes, we're driving home. She goes, it's amazing how much you use your back for everything.
It's from someone who has sciatic problems, like at least once every 6 months, I'll just roll out of bed and it'll go, Gager, and I can't move for like days. So I injured it when I was working my labor jobs before I got into the media world, and it's never been the same. And there's really nothing you can do for it, for the sciatic. It's just rest, right? There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, you can take some drugs and stuff and try to relax it that way. But, I mean, it sometimes it helps speed up the process. I found maybe a little ice, too, would just calm it down. But then all the blood would rush in and it would aggravate it even more. So if it's really painful is the only time I used ice, but so it sucks. It sucks.
I pulled it once with the Elks, and it was Chiro day. So our Chiro doctor comes in, tends to all the players, and Cheese is like, I'll get you in, buddy. They got in, and it was I was really hunched over. He was done with me. I was straight. I felt good, but the only thing, it didn't last long. Like in half an hour, I was back to normal. I was like, my God, my back is killing me. So it is hit and miss. You know what's funny, Gage, is we went bowling for the Christmas party. And I said it on the pregame show. I didn't realize how good of a bowler I was. Could have been the cervezas. Could have been the tacos we ate earlier, because that was fantastic food that we had at the taco shop. But Saturday, I wake up and my, just above the butt cheek, you're a little sore. And I'm like, what the hell? Is that from bowling? So I Googled it, and your plant foot when you're bowling, usually, because you don't put your body like that often, right? So I get to work today and I asked the guys, I'm like, anyone else like buttocks sore? And Trev's like, mine too, man. I was like, it's from the bowling. It's amazing what bowling does to you. But our team of Dusty, Reed, myself, and Trev, we rolled the boys.
Nice.
The team of Maddie, Eric, Milne, and Zach Kubusch. It wasn't close. It was like the Oilers here in this last stretch. No one could compete with us.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't make it, boys. But as you know, the Gage doesn't roll on Fridays.
And then Belzy showed up a little bit later. He was too late for the bowling, but yeah, it was a fun night out with the boys. We did a little bit of the roulette after and stuff like that. So it was really fun. It was really fun. Dinner was great though, Gager. I know you've recommended this place a bunch of times, the taco shop, and the food was fantastic. The chips we got for a snack pre-meal with the guac,
with the sampler and the guac.
Man,
yeah,
that was fantastic.
You could go just for that.
Yeah.
Next time we'll go for a couple margaritas and just we'll have the ceviche, just get some chips and salsa, and that'll be good enough, man. It is so good.
And it was
so
funny because Trev got a burger and our guy Dusty got a hot dog.
Yeah, Mexican hot dog. I was, you know what? I figured Dusty, he might get a taco, right? Just because those Biera tacos, those are one of the best things in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Right, it's basically a beef dip taco. Yeah, I swear by that thing. And even Dusty had a bite and said it was decent, but he could have ordered that and been fine. But Trev with the burger, really, the burger. That was from a guy that eats donairs and stuff, a little bit more adventurous. You'd think that maybe he'd get a burrito or something, or something like that. But
he swore that was the best first bite of a burger he's had in his life. But I like Zach.
Did you see the state of him when he came in? He could have tasted just about anything Hernan, and it would have been the best thing he tasted in his life.
I love Zach because I'm like, what did you get? He goes, I got the octopus tacos. And I'm like, that's a guy I want to go eat with right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the 1 to 3 boys. We're adventurous with the taste buds. I love it.
How were they, Zach?
It was really good, man. Like, I haven't tried octopus too many times, I guess, but when it's on the menu, I always pick the weirdest things. Like, I went to I guess it was a steak place, like somewhere else, and I got like tofu. Like, I'm just a weird guy who finds the interesting thing on the menu, and I'm like, why not try it? Like, when in Rome or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Just try whatever you got there. You're not going to eat that at home, so I can't prepare octopus. I don't trust my parents preparing it. So, I mean, professional chefs, at least if it's not cooked right? You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. But no, it's fantastic. I'd highly recommend to go to the taco shop there.
I love it. And me and Reed we both got the fish tacos, which were fantastic too, Gager.
Yeah.
No complaints there. At least Dusty did try Jay's taco at the end there, and he did like it with a little bit of the sauce there and as well. Because you and Eric, what did you guys get? You guys had an interesting plate. You guys
Eric and I?
Yeah.
No, I had the Biera tacos too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, Eric got the beef tacos, I believe. He wanted to get what we got, but I mean, it didn't matter. He stained his shoes regardless. I don't think he needed something with white sauce probably, or was it the Caesars late at night?
Yeah, and the double Caesars. And then Tommy got the chorizo and potato, and those looked really good. He did say though they were really, really spicy.
Yeah. There's the number one complaint. Like it's as close as you're gonna get. It's authentic Mexican cuisine, right? Yeah. So don't expect it to be mild. I mean, even Dusty's hot dog came with a bunch of jalapenos on top, right? So
that Maddie took off and put on his plate. You guys didn't see that.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. Once you put a jalapeno on it, it's going to still be warm. Like you're not avoiding the heat. So. You're
still going to get a bit of the spiciness, right? But all in all, it was a good night. It was really fun to be out with the boys. And bowling, I think I heard Dusty say it this morning, like, we need to bowl more because it's fun, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Well, more team events like that. What we should do is hit one of those, maybe one of those golf sims and have a little, I don't know, some sort of President's Cup or a Ryder Cup with teams and points. That might be good.
I embarrassed myself enough at bowling. Now I got to do it golfing again.
Oh, I'll be with you there because I can't golf worth you know what. But I'll put up our foursome against any foursome in Edmonton when it comes to bowling. We might even enter a league. That's how good we were. like I'm telling you, Gager, we were amazing.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to see this.
Yeah, we were really, really good. I was pretty damn impressed with our team, and it was fun. But nonetheless, we did the game Saturday. It was a fun game. A lot of excitement in that one. We got a blunder. We got a questionable hit. We got a goal called off. Oh no, the goal it got challenged, but it was a horrible call by the refs on the ice. And the Oilers are going for their 6th straight win tonight, Gager, against the Florida Panthers, the team they lost to in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. It's going to be an emotional night for a lot of fans. But I'll say this: we're going to hear from Connor McDavid in the second segment, but. And I know they were talking about it on the Hangout. Like, I know the Oilers want to win this game, but I don't think if they win this game, they're like, yes, we got them. Do you know what I mean, Gager? It's more like, let's go. This is one of the best teams. They're the Stanley Cup champions. We just want to see where we match up right now. If we win, awesome. Florida's coming off 2 straight shutouts, so I have a hard time seeing them getting shut out again tonight, but you never know with the way Stuart Skinner's playing. But do you see this as just another game, or is there a little bit more oomph into this one?
I think there's a lot more at stake here. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons to play for this. The primary one, this is the team that knocked you out the year prior, right? The battle of Matthew Tkachuk, being in the building again. That's always gets fans' temperature to raises the volume a little bit, I think, in the game. But I just think the way that the Edmonton Oilers are playing right now is the best that they've played so far this season. And look, this is another opportunity to get closer to first in the Pacific. I think that's kind of the small goal that they've set for themselves right now. And they know it's going to be, I like the fact that actually Florida hasn't scored in a few games. So they're going to know, look, guys, if we don't play well, this is a good team also.
Yeah.
Although missing Sasha Barkov, that's a huge hole that they can take advantage of here. But yeah, they haven't scored on prime. There's just so many other little things. I know they will say we don't care about those things. We just care about the game at hand and getting the 2 points. But there's a lot, I think, to play for tonight. I think the fans are going to be as emotionally involved in this game as a lot of the Oilers that were participated in that series last night. So I think the building's going to be electric. And look, you want to take away, you want to beat this team. Like that's the sourest taste in your mouth that you can get in professional sports, right? At the end of last season. And who knows, man, this is a good team that could get back to the Stanley Cup Final again. They're still really, really good. So establishing that you're going to beat them in your own building, I think, is important.
I just don't think that if they lose this game, it's going to get in their head and they're going to be like, oh, we can't get over this hump. I just don't feel that. I think the Oilers are past that. I think they'll be fine if this thing doesn't go their way tonight. I just think, and we'll hear from Connor McDavid, and he had no time for it. He was just kind of, it is what it is. It's a good team. We want to see where we're at. We're playing a really good game, blah, blah, blah. So, but we'll listen to it. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think a loss really harms this team at all. It doesn't seem like there's going to be any lineup changes for the Edmonton Oilers. Stuart Skinner will be in net. Positive, and Tom Gazzola pointed this out. Victor Arvidsson signing at Oilers morning skate, which is good. Evan Bouchard didn't take the morning skate either, but he's going to play tonight, Gager. As for Barkov, he's a game-time decision. It sounds like an illness for him. So he could still play in this one. Of course, if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, you don't want him to play because he's a hell of a player. And then this news kind of broke on Friday from Dan Rolfe from the Canadian Press, but the Edmonton Elks make it official. Javon Leake, kick returner running back who had a really good season for the Edmonton Elks, signs a 2-year contract extension with the Green and Gold. So that's more positive news. You got Trey, you got Rankin, you got Leake now, and we'll see what they do with the receivers. And if you're a big coach guy, Marcus Howell, who was the coach for the last 3 years here, receivers coach and pass game coordinator with the Edmonton Elks, and Marcus Klund, who joined the team last year as their defensive backs coach, have joined the Calgary Stampeders coaching staff. So everything keeps moving around in the CFL. Hopefully we get, I think we should get a CFL schedule this week, Gager, so we can break it down and see. Remember we were talking about you can't go 0-3 or 0-5, and Maddie's like, let me see the schedule. Yeah, so
yeah.
I think we're going to get one for sure now. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so yet, just to get more eyes on the station. And also, hit the thumbs up. Let's get to over 100 on this Monday for the Stanley Cup rematch. Edmonton Oilers going for their 6th straight win. It'd be great if they can continue rolling on here. All right, coming up next, we'll continue the Oilers talk some NFL as well here on EST Afternoons. But first up, here's Zach Kubusch with a sports update.
It's a Stanley Cup Final rematch, seeing Edmonton host the Florida Panthers, where you can join Tom Gazzola for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show at 5:30, only on EST. Elsewhere, it's the Canucks battling the Avs and the Caps playing the Stars, with just 3 games around the NHL. In the CFL, Javon Leake has re-signed with the Edmonton Elks for next season after he recorded over 1,700 all-purpose yards and 7 touchdowns last season. In the NFL, David Montgomery of the Detroit Lions sprained his MCL in last night's loss, while Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs suffered a high ankle sprain in the win against the Browns. And tonight it's the Vikings kicking off against the Bears and the Falcons with the Raiders, where you can swing by the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for the action to watch it alongside Lieutenant Eric. On an 8-game NBA slate, the Raptors face the Bulls. This sports update is brought to you by Capital Care Foundation. Give the gift of Christmas spirit this year with the Capital Care Foundation. For just $25, you can bring Christmas alive for a senior living in Capital Care Center. Donate today at capitalcarefoundation.net. More with Gager and Hernan after the break. I'm Zachary Kubusch. Now you're up to date.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
Celebrate the season by creating space for your holidays. Sentinel Storage. Affordable and flexible storage solutions at a store near you. Shop Canadian, store Canadian. Try 4 weeks free. Visit sentinelstorage.ca.
EST Afternoons here on this cold Monday. It's game day for the Edmonton Oilers as they take on the Florida Panthers. First matchup between these two teams since Game 7. Heartbreak here in the city. Heartbreak definitely for sure. So they'll look for a little bit of redemption tonight as the Oilers go for their 6th straight win. Of course, Reed Wilkins, Jay Milne coming up. They'll go from 3 to 5:30. Then we'll jump on with the Oil Stream pregame show from 5:30 to 6:30 with the one and only Tom Gazzola. Gager, lots of rumblings here. Let's just go around the NHL real quick here. Buffalo lost their 10th straight. Rangers keep on struggling. Talkett made some interesting comments that there's 4 or 5 guys that just can't seem to get into the game. That's it. I mean, he's a pretty honest guy. He always kind of wears his heart on his sleeve, and he just said, there's guys that are struggling to get emotionally invested in the game. Then Rutherford said we need to add a couple of players to really give ourselves a chance to contend. And then I think yesterday he said, like, the Oilers can have 4 or 5 guys not going, and they can still win games. Do you know what I mean? Where if we don't have 4 or 5 guys going, we're not going to win. And then Elliot Friedman, he did say he's hearing Buffalo and Vancouver are talking. He threw out some names, but he didn't confirm that those were the names being talked about. But what do you make of this situation in Vancouver? Because this team, I mean, they wanted to build off last year. They had an excellent year. They were out in the second round to the Oilers in 7 games, but this year it just seems something's a little bit off. It seems like there's a rift between players in that room, Gager.
Yeah, it's it looks, well, not as bad as the 49ers, right? But similar to kind of the same thing. You have a coach questioning the desire of some of his players, which, I think it worked when Tocchet first took over, right? Kind of that real, and it's what the Vancouver Canucks needed is a lot. I think a lot of their players needed kind of that swift kick and the accountability. If you're not going, you're watching kind of coach. But you gotta worry about how many times that bullet's fired, right?
Yeah.
Because it becomes just white noise after a while, and it tends to be you'll lose the room at a certain point. I think if that continues to happen, right? So, but I think Tocchet's one of those coaches. He's kind of the quick fix kind of guy, and can get the most out of his players. But I think his message becomes hard after a few seasons and rubs guys the wrong way. But saying that, look, they've had their issues. So they got their heart and soul. Their team took time away. Their Vezina caliber goaltender, you don't know what his status is going to be. Will he be able to continue to play? Will he be able to get through the rest of the season? Pettersson, where's his game at? We've seen him play at a high emotional, physical level, but that just seems so sporadic at times. It's a team that obviously needs something else. I just don't know if going to Buffalo to looking for it is the right answer.
That's a good point. And I also agree with you on the Rick Tocchet. And I was saying this late last year where every time they lost, he was pretty harsh on the team. And I get it, you're not happy. But there comes a time when that stuff just starts to get old and rubs you the wrong way. It's like, hey, calm down. We lost 2-1. We played pretty well. It just wasn't our night. We're not going to win every game. And for him to come out and be that honest, and obviously when he says 4 or 5 guys, I'm sorry, but I know that's Elias Pettersson.
No,
he's part of it. Like Gager, like anyone can read into that, right? And now we can all speculate on who the other 4 or 3 guys are, but it's Elias Pettersson. I just think because I think what Elliot Friedman threw out there was Elias Pettersson for a Dylan Cousins and a Bo Byram. I don't think you win any trade involving sending Elias Pettersson the other way. He's a good hockey player. There's obviously something wrong there in Vancouver. Maybe he doesn't get along with certain players. Maybe it's just not working. Maybe the room is disconnected. But Gager, I still think Pettersson is an elite forward, and I don't think you win that trade.
He is you mentioned a name that's a little bit intriguing for me there, though, because I do like Cousins. Different type of player.
Yes.
Little bit more sandpaper, still skilled. But I'd have time if they're putting Cousins and Byram in there. And I know Byram hasn't had the best time in Buffalo. But he is a really good offensive defenseman that can, I don't want to say he could probably take a little bit of the load off of Quinn Hughes at times, right? That would be a really good 1-2 punch with very good puck-moving defensemen. I'd have to think about that, man. I know it's tough because you're giving away a guy that should be putting up 100 points a season. Like that's what Pettersson should be doing. He's elite. The way he processes the game is amongst the elite in the NHL. So I can see that, and goals are king, but I don't know. Maybe it's the jolt that the Vancouver Canucks need, right? They need to find something else, go in a different direction, because it's definitely not working with Pettersson and Tocchet right now.
Like Byram, that he helps that decor because he's a hell of a young player. more offensive, but he's still quality there. And Dylan Cousins would be interesting. I mean, I don't think he has the elite skill set that Elias Pettersson does, but maybe the guys both need a change of scenery. I mean, Buffalo lost their 10th straight yesterday, blew another 2-goal lead against Toronto Maple Leafs. Sounds like the owner met with the GM and the players today, and the overall message was, "We believe in you. The solution is in the room." And I guess he just said he believes in the GM and in the coach, and don't expect anything big to come. But I'll tell you this: they lose 11 straight. He can't sit there with a straight face and say, "Yeah, it's going to turn around. We'll get this going eventually." Like 10 straight losses, Gager.
That is, I mean, that gets to the point where you don't even want to come to the rink. Going to the rink's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's always fun. It doesn't matter how old you are, from 6 to 36. It's always fun going to the rink. But at the elite level, and I mean, I just want to look at their, like, because I did look at it the other day, and I mean, this team they have a good enough team to not lose 10 in a row. You know, I'm not saying they're beating down the door of the playoffs, but they should be a much more competitive team than what you see. There's some talented players on there, but something's got to give here pretty quick. I just I would look at maybe we get some sort of NBA kind of trade, which would be great. Like 4 or 5 players going to different places and just revamping the lineup. I think that's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. I just can't believe that if this losing streak extends, Gager, that they're just going to sit there and think that the guys in the room are going to turn around. And you feel for the fans. We went through it here in Edmonton from 2006 to 2017. The Edmonton Oilers weren't even close to the playoffs ever in those years. And then they get the one good year, and then they missed the next 2 or 3, which is very disappointing as well. And then the Rangers is the other team here. Fascinating how much they're struggling. I had them as my Stanley Cup pick. I think many had them coming out of the East, or at least into that final in the East, Gager. But another loss to the Blues last night. They lost to the Kings on Saturday. Only one win in their last 5. I got to feel that Chris Drury down there is raring to make something happen. And trades are a lot harder than what we discuss here and then on the Nasty Chat. Like, you got to be careful also because you don't want to blow up your team, especially when you're going to be okay and you're probably going to get into the playoffs, but you also don't want to break something. You might need a little tinker here, but do you see the Rangers going after it big or just little tinkers here?
I think they're going to go after something big. Like their GM said, what is it, a month ago now, that I want to get rid of some of these players. I'm ready to get rid of Kreider or Zibanejad, or he's looking to get rid of pillars, the building blocks of his team to create something. Now, I mean, I don't know if this is, again, you look at that team, there's no way that this should be losing. That's something else. That's something not connecting with, from player to coach to GM. There's just something there. A wire has shorted out here, because this is a team that's basically been the same for the past 3 years that has gone to, very deep playoff runs, close to getting to the finals here, beating some really good teams. So, I mean, it's kind of thrown out the Eastern Conference. From the beginning of the season, I thought for sure the Rangers are going to be in the Eastern Conference final. So whoever else is going to be there at the dance with them. But now, I mean, they're getting to the point where, they're starting to probably look at draft lottery positioning, and where's that going to be?
Yeah, the Rangers get the Preds next. The Sabres are on the road in Montreal, so that's going to be, that's tomorrow. And then they get the Leafs after that. And what's interesting, Gager, is that they get the Canadiens tomorrow, and then they don't play till Friday. You get 2 days to make some moves and do what you have to do. It's going to be tough, though, because they just hired Lindy Ruff.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many coaches have you brought in there, and it's just not working? It's the core of the team. Maybe Darling is out, but they were still struggling with him in the lineup. I mean, he's a hell of a talent, but something's got to give there in Buffalo. I just don't know what it is. Like, we thought nothing would ever trump the decade of darkness in Edmonton, and this one's beating it by a landslide.
Oh yeah, this is complete. This is terrible. But remember too, there is a I think it's like a trade freeze coming up soon, closer to the holidays, right? So, I don't know. Don't look for anything to happen with either of these two teams before Christmas. But I think by New Year's, let's just say there'll be fireworks, and not only just in the air, but with these two teams.
We got about 3 minutes here before we go to break and bring in George Richards from Florida Hockey now to talk all things Florida Panthers. Gager, what are you expecting tonight? We talked about the Florida Panthers being shut out in their last two games against Calgary and Vancouver. It's going to be it's not impossible. It could happen. I don't see it happening. The Barkov decision is going to be big for this team as well. But are you seeing here a game with a lot of goals, close, but a lot of goals, or low scoring, close, or do you see that just a blowout either way?
No, I mean, I've been so wrong with these, and it's because I think everyone's along the same lines of thinking that there's going to be goals.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be ridiculous. Like, if I'm going to set the over under like 5.5, I'd probably go under, right? Like that's kind of where I see these games. I feel that's what you're going to see, but you'll also see really good scoring chances because both teams are capable of generating some good stuff. It comes down to those little errors or little plays in certain areas where maybe it's a giveaway, a block shot going the other way, something like that turns the tide for either team. Look, I know everyone probably it's the players. It's another game again, but no, I don't think it's just another game. This is people have been watching the Prime series and seeing the last two episodes with both these teams involved, right? And I'm sure we'll have plenty of that in the broadcast tonight. Don't forget the game is on Prime tonight.
Yeah.
So, would it be? Do you think that this game means more to the people watching it than the players themselves?
I do. I actually do, Gager. Zach, if we have the McDavid, we can probably run it now, just to hear what he had to say, because you know how McDavid is and the personality and all that. But let's just run it. This is Connor McDavid today after the morning skate.
You guys are playing going into this game and then facing Florida here for the first time since the final last year.
Yeah, we're playing well. I don't know we're playing well. A lot of good things going on. Special teams are starting to pick up. Getting great goaltending.
Do you feel it was just a matter of time before, like Chris said, he thought you guys weren't playing too badly at the beginning of the year, getting some more puck luck, getting some, better individual performance? Do you feel that it was just a matter of time to get back to the end?
We got a lot of self-belief in here. We believe in our group. We believe that we're a good team, and but you got to go out and show it, and you got to play well. We felt like we were doing a lot of good things, maybe not getting rewarded early on, and it's nice to see the wins finally start to come in.
Is it silly to talk about a rivalry? Because you only play them twice a year. I know you play them against them.
No, I don't think it's silly. I think you play a team. We played them however many months ago, 7 times in a row. You're gonna form a rivalry for sure.
They got a really good D4. You guys saw that. Almost all the way. Take away space and stuff like that. What's the key to getting that against this one?
Yeah, it's tough. They got a lot of good D-men, as you said. They play a great team defense, and they got a great goaltender. They make it tough on you to score goals, and that's what makes it fun, though.
Is that ancient history with them, or is it still kind of lingering a little bit?
Yeah, obviously, it wasn't that long ago. That being said, though, it's a new year. A lot of turnover on both teams. We'll see a bigger one tonight.
Connor McDavid there looked a little like he didn't want to be there, and maybe that's a good thing. He's a little angry right there.
A little perturbed, yeah. Looks like Rick Grimes. So he's got that Rick Grimes look going right now, which is good because hopefully he can beat the wheels off this team. But we talked about just the Stanley Cup hangover kind of thing, right? And we saw the Oilers get out to a slow start. On the opposite side of the coin, the Florida Panthers seemed to pick up right where they left off, right? But then we saw the kind of dip in their play, and they had I believe a 4 or 5 game losing streak at a point. Just from what he said, do you think, Hernan, that of course there's kind of a rivalry. We played these guys not long ago, 7 games in a row, but it is a new season, and I think finally we've seen the adjustment from the players that were with the Edmonton Oilers last year in that hard playoff series, that playoff run, kind of go, okay, that's over. We can't get to game 100 and whatever it was, 107 tomorrow. We have to get through this and get our game back. I think from what I've seen, and just gathering from what Connor McDavid said there too, I think they finally flipped the page. It's no longer 23-24. It's 24-25 season. This is brand new. We've had turnover. Other teams have had turnover. Now we can kind of really focus in and dig in, like Connor McDavid said, on this season and get back to where they want to be.
Yeah, I don't think this is win or lose. The players are going to overreact a bit. I think this is more for the fans. I think the Oilers are just. I honestly believe this. I view it as another game, and let's go and all that. All right, we got to get to a quick break here. We'll continue the Oilers and Florida Panthers talk next with George Richards from Florida Hockey Now here, as we'll touch on all things Panthers. Don't forget to hammer that thumbs up. Let's get to over 100 for the Stanley Cup rematch today. It's Joaquin Gage. It's Hernan Salas on EST Afternoons. But first up, here's Zach Kubusch with a sports update.
It's Oilers Panthers with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show live at 5:30 with Tom Gazzola right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. And there's 2 other games around the league, seeing the Stars match up against the Caps and the Avs meet the Canucks. And in the CFL, Javon Leake has re-upped with the Edmonton Elks after he recorded 7 touchdowns last season. And down south, Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs suffered a high ankle sprain last night, while the Lions will be without David Montgomery for some time as he sprained his MCL yesterday. And Monday Night Football action sees the Falcons taking on Desmond Ridder and the Raiders, while the Vikings battle the Bears, having Lieutenant Eric down at the Center Casino Sports Bar and Lounge on Fort Road for the game. And with 6 games around the NBA, the Raptors hit the court against the Bulls. On the other side of the break, George Richards from Florida Hockey Now joins EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and that was your sports update.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki in a tuxedo t-shirt because it says, like, he wants to be formal, but he's also here to party too.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road Park.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Book your holiday party at the CBH today. The Canadian Brewhouse is your ultimate destination for events, parties, fundraisers, and more. 'Tis the season to celebrate. Visit and book now in-store or at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
1:44, we're back here on EST Afternoons. It's Hernan Salas, it's Joaquin Gage, Zach Kubusch in the house as it's the Stanley Cup rematch. Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers. Edmonton going for their 6th straight win. Florida looking to snap a 2-game losing streak where they've been shut out twice to the Calgary Flames and the Vancouver Canucks. And to talk all things Florida Panthers, we're pleased to welcome into the show George Richards from Florida Hockey Now. George, how you doing today?
I'm good. What's going on?
Hey, not much. You're just going to touch base here on these Florida Panthers, a team that broke a lot of hearts here in Edmonton in late June. But we're excited for this game. Oilers are red hot right now. Florida struggling just a tad here. Been shut out the last 2 games. What's gone wrong, George, for the Florida Panthers in these last 2 games where they haven't scored a goal?
Yeah, it's been rough going for them ever since they went west. I mean, this was a team that was averaging over 5 goals a game, and they end up winning 2-1 in a shootout against Seattle, but that's been it for the scoring. They get shut out in Vancouver, shut out in Calgary. And, listen, talking to Paul Maurice, he says that, he's not concerned about the offense because he knows the firepower that the Panthers have. He's more concerned with how they're playing defensively. But yeah, not scoring goals is kind of a big deal. You can't win without them, right? So, but it could be just one of these things. The Panthers went through this last year at the exact same time of the year on the exact same trip. So, maybe it's just they don't like going to Seattle, and then I don't know.
Well, it is wet and cold there, George. And,
maybe they all got sick like Markov.
My conversion skills aren't great, but it's in Celsius. It's about -16 here, so definitely the linen suits that they probably sport aren't doing their job today.
Yeah, but, no sandals, eh?
No. So we were talking earlier just about the start of the season and kind of the polar opposites between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers, where Edmonton kind of really didn't get off to a good start. We looked down in Florida. Obviously, that was the team that most fans here in Edmonton would compare themselves to, and they got off to seem like they didn't miss a beat from Game 7 on, right? So was there kind of, and then they kind of faltered. Edmonton seems to have found their game a little bit. You've been part of deep runs over the past 2 seasons to the Stanley Cup Finals. Is there a little bit of a hangover? And what point of the season does it seem like Florida just kind of puts everything in their rearview mirror and starts to really start zeroing in on the season that they're in?
I don't know if that there is a blueprint for that, because I think if you looked at the Panthers last year, their season kind of mirrors what they did last. I mean, it's hard to say, because right now these teams now know what it takes once it gets into the playoffs. It's hard for them to replicate their game during the regular season. I mean, they realize it's a Tuesday. They just are like, yeah, there's 60 more of these to go. There's 50 more of these to go. I think even last year you saw with the Panthers, you talk about them locking down. They had lost like 6 out of 7 games before they came home last year for their final homestand of the season. They won those final 4 games. They weren't even the prettiest of games. And then they go right into the playoffs and, beat Tampa Bay in 5. So I don't know. This team just, I think teams like Florida and now Edmonton and these teams that know, hey, let's just make the top 3. We don't have to kill ourselves here. I think Tampa Bay figured that out years ago. They were just like, guys, just get in. Vegas is the same, right? Vegas, they lose a couple games that they're not panicking. I think it's just one of those things in an 82-game season. Florida, Edmonton, Vegas, that they've got the better players. They know their system works. It's been proven. And the season, nothing counts until the playoffs. You could have the best regular season in the world. Florida won the President's Trophy a couple years ago. Boston won it 2 years. And what did it matter? They got knocked out early in the playoffs, and nobody even wants to talk about that season. So it all matters in the playoffs. It doesn't matter today. It doesn't matter in February. So I think these teams know that right now.
George Richards from Florida Hockey Now joining us here on EST Afternoons. George, Sam Reinhart coming off a career year last year, and this year's no different. He's left off where he finished last season in Game 7. He's really become that go-to guy for the Florida Panthers. What can you tell us about Sam Reinhart? I mean, ever since he's joined Florida, he's just, brought it up a few notches and it continues to get better every year.
Yeah, Sam Reinhart is a guy that I think that was just getting so frustrated in Buffalo, not because of the city or anything of that sort, which I think people thought, he just doesn't like Buffalo. No, he didn't like losing. And, I talked to him not long ago, and I asked him about coming to Florida in 2021. Florida really only had one good year, and it was a COVID year. I mean, did it count? I don't know. And he was like, he said, I wanted to go to Florida because I saw that they were doing some stuff right. I thought that was the best place for me. And yeah, I mean, you hear from all these people in Buffalo about how miserable he was. We don't see that here. I think winning has just changed him. I mean, he's always been a talented guy. I think Buffalo was asking him to do 100 different things, and he doesn't have to do that here. You look at last year, he scored 57 goals in the regular season, 10 in the playoffs. And yeah, it was natural just to say, well, he's going to regress to the mean. He's going to go back to being about a 28, 32 goal scoring guy. And you look at this year, he has not regressed one bit. He's on pace to hit about what he did last year. So he's fit right in here. He obviously signed a new contract with the Panthers. Florida gave him 3 years right off the bat when they traded for him, and signed him for 8 just before the deadline on June 30th. So he's been a great fit here. He loves it here. He's part of the fabric here in South Florida.
George, one of the big reasons that Florida was able to win the Stanley Cup was their ability to shut down two of Edmonton's big stars with Draisaitl and McDavid in those last few games, holding them pointless. What type of strategy do they implement to try to slow these guys down? Or are they just kind of, you know what, these guys are probably going to get their points, but we got to make sure that no one else goes nuts on us as well? What does Maurice say about how he's going to implement his team? Is it line matchups? Is it a different type of defensive structure? What does he kind of do when he plays against teams with the talent like the Oilers have?
Yeah, you try to put Barkov out there, right? I mean, Barkov is key to that. And Florida lost 2 of its top defensemen from last year, Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Brandon Montour. Especially Oliver Ekman, for what we're talking about here, Ekman-Larsson was a big part of that. He was a big part of that shutdown, in games 1 through 3, and then, everything took off after that. So I don't know if you can. It's one of those, the old line about, on Sports Center, you can only hope to contain them, right? You can't stop, just contain them, slow them down a little bit, see what we can do, because those guys are going to catch fire. I mean, it's just, statistics, man. It's math. They get their chances. They're going to put up points. And listen, Florida's going to try and stop them tonight. Who knows what's going to happen? But again, Florida's big on the forecheck. They're trying to keep those guys out from in front of the net. I think even last in Game 7, wasn't it McDavid that was in front of the net? They just couldn't get the puck to him. I mean, who knows what would have happened if he gets that puck there, in those final seconds. But even they, Florida just collapsed on the puck. They just kind of left him alone, and all of a sudden they turn like, oh man, he's by himself. We can't give this puck up. So things happen, but yeah, like you said, I mean, so much talent. On the Edmonton Oilers, it's hard to stop them, and Florida's just gonna, roll out what they can. If they can get the forecheck going tonight, which they haven't had. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, again, it's December. It's hard to play that hard style night after night when it's December 20, whatever, it's just hard for them to continue to do it. But I think tonight, playing the Oilers, being back at Rogers Place, I think you're going to see that intensity ratcheted up, both teams. It's going to be a good one tonight.
George, how's the return to the NHL been for Spencer Knight?
I think it's been good. I think, listen, his statistics aren't great. Neither are Sergei Bobrovsky's. But he's played well for Florida. I think he took the loss the other night in Calgary, but Florida didn't do him a whole lot of favors. The first goal was a turnover right in the slot to Kadri, and he scores to make it 1-0. They had another defensive breakdown to make it 2-0. Spencer Knight's been fine. I mean, I think there are some rough comparisons because everybody sees what Anthony Stolarz is doing in Toronto, and everybody's like, man, woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? But no, Spencer Knight is a guy that the Florida Panthers have maintained that he's their goalie of the future. And They're trying to work him back into the NHL routine. I mean, last year he played in the AHL all season to get back on his skates, get back to playing back-to-back games, that rough AHL schedule that we all know so well. And he felt it was good for him. And the Panthers certainly felt it was good for him. Roberto Luongo's brother Leo is the goalie coach, or was the goalie coach in Charlotte with Spencer Knight-All last year. So they were able to stay with him and work with him day after day after day. And now he's back at the NHL level, and he's getting his starts here and there. It's just, again, he's a young goalie. He's 22 years old. He's got to learn how to play this game at this level. And, he's got all the talent in the world. So,
George, last one here for you. I know you got to get going. Last year was great. I mean, here in Edmonton, going all the way to the finals. Imagine Florida was the same. Just for you, going to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals, being able to cover it, and the team you cover ultimately winning it. How was the experience for you last season?
It was a lot of fun. Just, obviously in the business that we're in, you want to continue to work, right, as long as you can, and then, vacations, can wait, that kind of thing. Being here in and in Edmonton, you guys know about long off seasons, right? We've all been through them where you're done and you're like, we watch the playoffs and you don't really, it's good hockey, but your team's not around and hasn't been for a long, long time. It's fun just to be around a team that is growing the game here in South Florida. It's been a lot of dark years in South Florida, but things are exactly the way we kind of envisioned. Once this team starts getting good, once it's consistently in the playoffs, you're going to see changes around the South Florida and the way they view hockey, and we've seen that now. I mean, this team's been in the playoffs every year. They've kind of figured out, again, just get in the playoffs and worry about the playoffs when you get there. It was a lot of fun. It was fun. That run that they made 2 years ago was so unexpected.
Right.
There was a 42-point difference between them and Boston in the first round, and they're down 3-1. Right. You already had the funeral for the Panthers going into Game 5, and they end up winning that series in 7, and then beating Toronto and who else did they beat? Carolina.
Yeah.
Before losing to Vegas. So, and then last year, you had great matchups all the way through to the final. It was a lot of fun, and it was great for hockey down here, because even 2 years ago, the Panthers were competing with the Miami Heat. They played every other night.
Right.
The Heat, the Panthers, Panthers. The Heat went to the final and lost. Last year, the Panthers had the town to themselves. The Heat got knocked out early, and it was all about the Panthers, and I think that was really good for them. Good for the spotlight to be solely on them, which it really had never happened before.
George, great stuff as always. Enjoy the game tonight. Should be a good one. Expecting a lot of goals in this one, but I'm sure we'll talk to you again once the Edmonton Oilers head down to Florida. Thanks again, George.
Anytime, fellas. Be good.
That's George Richards from Florida Hockey Now joining us here. Great stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's been covering Panthers for a lot of years. We used to book him back at the old station as well. Always gracious with his time and brings the good stuff there. Matthew Kachuk on the Nasty Chat says, tell George to chill. The Rat Turtle King has got this. So him and Sam Bennett are going to be running wild tonight. I can guarantee you that. And the Oilers are going to be in for a tough one. But the way they're playing, Gager, I mean, I'm not feeling, there's confidence right now with this team that they can go toe-to-toe with anyone, regardless of how the other teams are doing or not.
Nanzo, I was waiting on bated breath to see you over the weekend to watch the game with you, and you decided to just stay in the studio. But that's maybe for Red Light District, whatever. We won't get into that now. But Tom and I watching that game, we kept going, what is happening right now? Like, they're just beating the wheels off this team. And that's something that I did not expect. And it's, I would say that was I mean, Tampa played well too, but I didn't think the Knights were poor. Like, they didn't play poorly.
No, they didn't.
They were good. They generated a lot of chances. What was it, like they directed like 86 shots towards the net or something ridiculous like that? There was definite push from a team that was down 5. But this, I think tonight, the way that the Oilers are playing, if they keep this level of play, it makes it difficult for any team, and I'd like to see a little bit more pushback and see a really good hard-nosed game. Maybe I always love games with lead changes. Those are the most fun to watch. Like a couple lead changes tonight would be fun to see, and well, hopefully for Oilers fans, at the end of the night, the lead changed one more time for the Oilers, and it stayed that way. But yeah, that's how I kind of see that tonight's game.
We'll see if Stuart Skinner has his ticks taped better tonight after a blunder and Gager going on a rant about put tape on your stick, kid. Stop messing around. Well, let's do this. Let's see the confidence, because KD says, I hate Florida with a passion. And I understand that. They took away your Stanley Cup champion team here for you last season. And it was a Game 7. It was awesome. Great memories. Obviously, a sad outcome for everybody here in Edmonton and Oilers fans all over the world. But the Oilers are not going away. They're going to be a Stanley Cup contender for years and years to come. If you think the Oilers are going to win tonight, hit that thumbs up. Oh, Gager, I got them there. Because if we're not over 100, I'm going to be very disappointed. That means we don't have a lot of Oilers fans on this. And,
I guess. Yeah.
We'll go from there. But hour 2 coming up, we're going to talk some NFL, some good games, some injuries, some questionable coaching calls again. I'll let you guess who the coach was, Gager, but you probably won't get it wrong who made a questionable call again in a game. But we're going to continue the sports talk. More NFL, more NHL, and more Oilers in hour 2 here on EST Afternoons. We're back after the break.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they're the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
It's a Stanley Cup Final rematch, seeing Edmonton host the Florida Panthers with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas live for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show at 5:30 right here on EST. Elsewhere, it's the Canucks battling the Avs and the Caps playing the Stars for just 2 games around the National Hockey League. While in the CFL, Javon Leake has re-signed with the Edmonton Elks for next season after he recorded over 1,700 all-purpose yards and 7 touchdowns last year. While in the NFL, David Montgomery of the Detroit Lions will miss the remainder of the season after he sprained his MCL last night and requires surgery to repair. Also, Patrick Mahomes had a high ankle sprain in the win against the Browns. And tonight it's the Vikings kicking off against the Bears and the Falcons with the Raiders, where you can swing by the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge on Fort Road to catch the action alongside Lieutenant Eric. In basketball, the Raptors hit the court with the Bulls, having 6 games in the NBA. EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage continues right now. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and you're up to date.
Maybe we just don't belong. I say we set it on fire. Maybe we just don't belong. I say we set it on fire.
EST afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage, Zach Kubusch here. Hit us up on the Nasty Chat. Text us 780-218-9999 if you like to listen to us. Of course, it's the iHeart or the TuneIn radio apps, or watch us on the EST YouTube channel. Coming to you live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. Portions of this hour brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. NHL lives at the Canadian Brew House. Every Oilers game day, get $1 off tankards of Molson Canadian and Coors Light, and you can win game tickets and 2 tickets to a surf and turf dinner at the end of the season. Full details at the Canadian Brew House.com. Hour one, big thanks to George Richards from Florida Hockey Now, who joined us here to preview the Panthers and Oilers. That goes tonight, 6:30. It is a Prime game, so if you don't have Prime, you might be in a little bit of trouble. And Gager, we said hit the thumbs up if you think the Oilers are going to win. We only got 5 since I said that, so there's not a lot of confidence in the Oilers tonight, so that's disappointing. Only 5 thumbs up, so only 5 people think the Oilers are going to win tonight. Gager, let's switch gears a bit here. Let's go to the NFL. I want to talk about a questionable decision again. So Bills-Lions game was unreal, 48-42. But with 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Lions score a touchdown. They're down 10, and he goes for an onside kick, which is picked up by the Bills player, returned to the 5, boom, boom, boom. They're in the end zones, game over. Like, I get having the cojones to make plays and make calls like that and go for it on fourth down and all that fun stuff. But he's costing his team. Like, fine, if you don't want to kick it, you think your defense can't stop them, they still scored. Do you know what I mean? Like, just kick it down. Have some trust in your defense that they're going to get the ball back. It's a 2-score game. Instead, you make it a 3-score game in a matter of seconds. I think Dan Campbell's hurting his team.
Not only that, man, like when you don't have when you don't show trust in your team, especially in football, right? Because there's offense and there's defense, and by telling your team, look, we need to kick an onside kick to get the ball back, because I don't think our defense is able to give them a 3-and-out, right? Yeah. Like, I think that's detrimental to your defensive team. And look, you said cojones. This guy ends up kicking himself in his own cojones, and you know how hard that is to do. But it's going to come down to that. It is. Like, you said it yourself. You're a Niners fan, buddy, and they shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl. No, they shouldn't have been there because of questionable calling. Someone's got to tackle this guy at one point, right? Just dump the Gatorade, keep it on him for like the last 5 minutes of a game or something, so he doesn't do anything ridiculous like this. Because I don't know, Dusty's going nuts. Like, he poor guy's gonna get sick again if Campbell keeps making these calls. So I don't know. I hopefully when it really matters, buddy, that one of these decisions isn't made. Like, I love the fact that he goes for it. That's great. But there's going for it, and then there's stupidity. Yeah. And it's a very fine line. And there's been times when it's been the right call, not too many, but other calls have cost his team championship, like a championship chance. So no, someone's got to have a sit down with him and talk to him.
Well, at the end of the day, do you want to coach with big cojones that makes it exciting, or do you want to go to the Super Bowl? Like, to me, that's what it comes down to. And and I said it last year, I'm a Niners fan. I couldn't believe the Niners were still in that game late, and it was all because of his play calling. And again, yesterday, sure, it's a regular season game. You're going to the playoffs. You're a really good team. But I can't find anyone who thinks that was the right call with 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. 12 minutes, Gager. No, all your timeouts. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like, the chances of getting an onside kick, I'd love to know the percentage. I'll probably look it up. I probably should have, but they can be high. So, like, you're pretty much saying, I'm going to give them the ball with a slim chance that I might get it, very slim, the slimmest of slimmest, and I'm going to give them field position. Just kick the damn ball deep. And let your defense go out there and try to prove something and get the stop. But instead, they made it close at the end, but it's too late by then. And they also lose running back David Montgomery for the season with a torn MCL. So bad news there. But Gager, this coach, like you said, he needs someone on the staff to be like, hey, man, like, we get it. It's awesome what you do. Like, people love it. People follow you. But you're also going to cost us. Yeah, you're going to cost us if this keeps going. I don't know. I mean, then I'm trying to look at it from the coaching. Maybe it's okay. Let's try one of these, because the rules are kind of weird now with the onside kick too. Like, it's hard to disguise it, or say what's coming. And I think you have to tell the other team you're doing it when it's that early in the game. So it's like, what do you? It doesn't. I mean, these new rules. That's what I said when I first saw it. I saw, well, this doesn't make sense. You can't. There's no misdirection. That's part of the whole thing. So the other team knows you're doing it. That's what's crazy to me. And maybe it's practice. Maybe they're just practicing this for later on. They're in a situation where it means something. So you're getting live reps at trying an onside kick, and maybe they have to do this at a certain point, maybe in a playoff game, right? So maybe there's something to that. But just with the prior track record, this guy's just a maniac with calling these plays, which does make it exciting. I mean, it's probably one of the cool bet. It's maybe one of the options that you can say, will Campbell make a bonehead decision at some point? How many boneheaded decisions in today's game? 0.5, and you probably take the over. Successful onside kick, Aidan O'Neill says 7%, and then Bones also backs it up. It says, I believe in the broadcast, they said a 7% chance to recover an onside kick. Even the broadcasters were like, what are they doing? Yeah. VR says, Dan Campbell is a double-edged kind of crazy. Big Uke, who's a Lions fan, says, live by the Dan, die by the Dan. Listen, if Lion fans are okay with that and it's going to cost your team the ultimate goal, then okay, I respect that. But you have to draw a line eventually and be like, hey, like, I love our coach Dan Campbell. Like, I'd go through a wall for him. But please, coach, be more smart about this stuff. We're in a window here, and the windows in the NFL, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, are pretty small. We're in a window here to go to the Super Bowl. You blew it last year. Don't do it this year. Yeah. When it comes down to it, trust your players to get the job done, right? It's not 2 minutes left and you need the ball back right away to score. There's tons of time left here. Trust that your defense can shut these guys down. Oh, exactly. Patrick Mahomes removed in the fourth quarter due to an injury. He was visibly limping off the field at the conclusion of the game, so we'll continue to track that. But that team's had a shoehorn up, you know what, Gager, and they finally... Patrick, do you see Patrick Mahomes walk? I can't tell which leg's injured. He always looks injured the way that guy was. So the way he plays too. Yeah, it's kind of odd, right? So it looks like both his MCLs are damaged. And the performance of the day on Sunday, Lamar Jackson, man, 5 TD passes, only 4 incompletions. You had more touchdown passes than incompletions. Yeah. Now, I know it's the Giants. I get that, but holy smokes. And Josh Allen was unreal, man. Yeah. Like, that guy's a
Who do you
baller.
think? Who do you got for your MVP? Like, after that weekend? That's tough, hey? Do you figure it's Jackson fatigue and it goes to Allen?
I mean, Saquon's in there.
Saquon, yeah.
I think the leading guy has to be Josh Allen. I mean, Lamar's right there. It's a good, like, right now I couldn't give you an answer because I don't know. I think all 3 guys have been great. And then if you want to sprinkle someone else in there, it's going to be fascinating to see. But seems like Josh Allen is the favorite right now. And he's been unreal, Gager. Yeah. Like, look at their defense, you'd probably want a little bit better because that's back-to-back games. They're giving plus 40, but they're scoring, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But, Dan Campbell. 2 games tonight on Monday Night Football. Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. I'll tell you right now, Vikings will win that game. And then an absolute dud in the other one. The Atlanta Falcons, 6-7, at Las Vegas to take on the 2-11 Raiders. Gage.
Yikes.
Like, you want to go hang out? Go see our guy LTE. He'll be down at Century Casino Fort Road as he is every Monday. It's the Loaded Burger tonight on special. So go hang out. 2 games plus the Oiler game. Should be a fun night down there. And like I mentioned earlier, Javon Leake official by the Edmonton Elks, 2-year contract extension with the Edmonton Elks. And my man, this was dropped Friday right when we were getting off our show. Kevin Brown, breaks my heart, signs with the Toronto Argonauts. I don't know what the deal was, maybe a 1-year deal, but Kevin Brown, I'll say this about him, and I think everybody that got to know Kevin Brown here in Edmonton, one of the best guys to ever deal with, Gager. Just
nice.
Always happy, always positive, always bubbly, always willing to do anything when it came to marketing or shoots or anything like that, and a hell of a player. Dealt with some injuries this year. It was a loaded backfield, didn't get the touches he probably wanted to. But wish him all the best in Toronto. He is I'll always be a fan of Kevin Brown, Gager.
Sweet.
Always.
I want to get to the I got to get to the nasty chat here. Hernan first. Caster 1990. He's irked me. He's Gager. Tommy meant you were handing up your own. Oh, see, okay. Yeah. All right. You got one. Good. Gator, Tommy mentioned you were handing out your own hockey cards to kids during the weekend post-game. Do you always carry around hockey cards when you're out in public? Yes, Caster 1990. I do. And exactly for that reason. This is not to boost my own ego. No one remembers me playing. But what I do remember is being a young kid and walking past Vancouver Canucks guys, and certain players gave me a card or gave me a stick, and it meant the world to me. It was big. So there was obviously some sort of hockey tournament at the West Edmonton Mall, and you can always pick out the little kids playing hockey. So yeah, I do carry around a few extra cards just for little kids that I see that are hockey players, that if it might make their day. But kind of a funny side note story to that too is I did it last year, I think at one of the brew house here in Windermere, and I saw a young team came in, and I asked who's the goalie, and a little kid put his hand up, so I gave him my card, and I was with my friends having a few beers, and all of a sudden this guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, are you Joaquin Gage?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, geez, you gave my son a card." I was like, "How the heck did you get a Joaquin Gage card?" So it was pretty funny. But I'm just trying to, hopefully it's nothing for me, but hopefully it makes some young kid happy. That's it.
Yeah, Caster 19. Nah, again, Caster's always a good guy on the nasty chat. But no, but it was great because I think we were on air, and the boys were playing down there at the rink at the mall, and they walked in to get some lunch, probably an early dinner after their game, right? And it's, yeah, like you said, like when you're a kid, you're always so excited when you saw former players or current players, and then hockey cards are just awesome. So I think that's great, Gager. I think that's awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Don't let anyone put you down for having cards and stuff. I'm your co-host. I don't even have one yet.
Well, keep working.
I'm just gonna steal your former mask here and put it in my display at home.
Probably.
Is that okay? You think the guys
probably?
Did you give it to EST?
No, it's rented out.
It's rented out. Caster says, "That's awesome, Gager. I'm disappointed you only give it out to kids and not middle-aged men." Well, he could.
That's the reason I do it. I understand people going for autographs and stuff, and you see the autograph seekers and things, but it's solely for a monetary purpose, right? Yeah. They're just trying to make money, and they're quite bullish at times. When, if a little kid comes, I always rathered signing cards for kids that it meant something to them, that all they did was take it home and put it in their bicycle spokes. But I know it meant more to me as a little kid, right? So
for sure. Gager should hand out hockey cards as business cards from the box.
They are. What do you think? I don't have business cards. I have hockey cards. They work better. Business cards you just throw in a drawer.
Big Uke, the Detroit Lions fan. This is the first call Dan Campbell's made this year that I was legit WTF. Going for 4th and inches to burn more clock or get slightly better field position, I'm game for that every day. Going for the onside with 12 minutes to go, only down 10, that I ain't a fan of. Yeah, are you okay with Dan Campbell? I only know Big Uke and Dusty as the Lions fans here at the station, so and part of our listeners, Gager. But I mean, you love the boldness, sure, but eventually you got to dial that back, especially when you get into where we are now, heading into the playoffs, Gager. You need to pull back a bit, man.
Is there? I'm wondering. There's not really a play in for a coach or a hockey coach that is kind of similar to that. What would it be like? Pulling your goalie with 8 minutes left? Or, like, that's the closest I can.
Pulling the goalie with 10 minutes left, yeah.
And you're up a goal. I don't know what it would be.
Challenging something that's a really bad challenge, and then giving the other team a power play. What else could be a hockey? Yeah, there's not much you can do.
I don't think. Yeah, there's not much to be that aggressive, right? I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting though how he handles it going forward. I mean, the Lions are must watch just because of their head coach and the decisions he makes, and you're always on the edge of your seat to see if he's gonna blow it for them or not. But
I've kind of slowly become a Jared Goff fan too. Like, I like the way he plays.
Do you think the players appreciate that?
See, I just think on different sides, yeah. Like the offense goes, yeah, we wanted the ball. The coach wants us to get going and get the ball back here. So they have faith in us to go get some more points. But again, on the defensive side, as a professional athlete, a guy, you want to be the difference maker. You want to make a difference in the game. You want the play that wins the game come down to you and you succeed. And you're not allowing your team to do that for you. I think that's detrimental, man. I understand an onside kick at a certain situation. Who was the coach that did it in the Super Bowl at the start of the second quarter? Was that New Orleans that did that? I can't remember. But that certain plays, yeah, I understand it. You know, like that at that point, team wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, it's so cerebral in the NFL, the coaching battle, what you're going to do, right? Like we've had analysts on here when talking about Andy Reid, you know, all the video that you watch of the Kansas City Chiefs throughout, you know, the regular season, just throw that out because it's going to look completely different. Especially it's going to be customized for your team against you and how to succeed, right? So you definitely don't want to come down to a situation where you just get out-coached. And I think Campbell, just with his cojones, so to speak, you can probably lure him into making some decisions that you know that he's going to make a bad one.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre, and I can't wait to see him continue to do this because some people are going to lose their mind, including our fearless leader, Dustin Nielsen. And just some other news, Heisman Trophy was awarded to Colorado's two-way star, Travis Hunter, who plays receiver and DB. He's an outstanding player, Gager. Just this guy's talents are unreal, and I just want to know why Lil Wayne was there. That's the thing that threw me off the most. If anyone knows why Lil Wayne was at his acceptance of the Heisman Trophy over the weekend, I'd like to know. Please let me know. All right, we got to get to a break. We're only at 63, so only 14 people think the Oilers are going to win tonight. All right. Continue to hammer that thumbs up if you think the Oilers are going to win. Let's get to over 100. We got about 40 minutes to go. We'll continue the sports talk up next with Joaquin Gage and Hernan Salas here on EST Afternoons as we're coming to you live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. We're back after the break, but first off, a sports update with Kub Nation.
It's Oilers Panthers tonight with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show live at 5:30 with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas only on EST. And there's two other games around the league, seeing the Stars match up against the Caps and the Avs meet the Canucks. While in the CFL, Javon Leake has re-upped with the Edmonton Elks, and down south, David Montgomery of the Lions will miss the remainder of the season after needing surgery on his sprain. MCL and Monday Night Football action has the Falcons taking on Desmond Ridder and the Raiders, while the Vikings battle the Bears with Lieutenant Eric down at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge on Fort Road for the action. On the court, the Raps face the Bulls with 6 games around the association. This sports update has been brought to you by Give Me Virtual Golf. Step into a whole new golfing experience with 240 unique courses for you to play. Plus, they have an hydraulic swing plate that automatically tees the ball up for you, with the innovative technology replicating real-life ball eyes, moving the ball in 24 different directions. Give Me Virtual Golf, where innovation meets the game. Visit their website at givemevirtualgolf.ca. EST Afternoons returns after the break. I'm Zachary Kubusch, keeping you in the loop.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Hockey lives at the Canadian Brew House. Every Oilers game day, get $1 off tankards of Molson Canadian and Coors Light. Plus, you can win game tickets and a surf and turf dinner for 2 at the end of the season. Full details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
In life, it takes a village. From childhood to your golden years, we all need support. At Capital Care Foundation, we've built that village for our 2,100 seniors. Join us in creating a nurturing environment that feels like home and fosters community connections. Your donation makes a difference. Visit capitalcarefoundation.net today and become a vital part of our village. Because together, we can make every stage of life a shared journey. Be a part of the journey. Support Capital Care Foundation.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website, edmontonsportstalk.com.
.25. Welcome back to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Joaquin Gage is remote. His daughter's out with a bit of a back issue, so he has to be home. Hernan's here live at the William Huff Studios along with Zach Kubusch. Good times. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. It just gives us more eyes on our station, on the shows here. Reed Wilkins, Jay Milne coming up from 3 to 5:30. Then Tommy Gazzola will take over at 5:30. And he'll have the pregame show, the Oil Stream pregame show. And then we'll be back for the postgame show as the Oilers and Panthers meet in a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Final, which we all know the result. We do not need to go there. No lineup changes for the Oilers. Stuart Skinner between the pipes. Bobrovsky for the Panthers. And the only thing we'll wait to see come the warm-ups is the status of Sasha Barkov, who's a little ill today, Gager. That is why he's ready to go. Loomis says, all right, Hernan, I'm getting ready for my second 2.5 miles today. What do you know today? I have no idea what we're talking about right now with Loomis, but if you can elaborate there, that'd be great because I have no idea. Are you going for a run or what's the plan here at Gager? Gager, let's get to this day in sports history real quick here. Tampa Bay Lightning, Ottawa Senators were officially granted membership in the NHL 1991, Gager. We were both around then those years. 1995, Fox TV aired a fight between Mike Tyson and Buster Mathis Jr. Tyson knocked out Mathis in the third round. The fight brought in Fox's highest Nielsen rating to date. And on this day, 21 years ago, 2003, the Edmonton Oilers acquired Jeff Wowitka, a first-round pick in 2004 who turned out to be Robbie Shrimp, a third-round pick in 2005 who turned out to be Danny Savret, from the Flyers for Mr. Michael Comrie. Do you remember that day?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's, wow, jeez. That's crazy. The
That's because he didn't want to play. He had a little riff with Kevin Lowe.
Yeah.
And the Oilers got absolutely worked on that move. I'll put it that way. Jeff Woodka was an up-and-coming guy. Played on the World Juniors, but never made an impact in the NHL. And then we all remember Robbie Schremp. He was polarized. Very skilled, but Mac T did not like that man as a hockey player. Not personal. At least I don't think so.
No. He didn't really fit into the style of play of those Oilers teams too, right? Like those were hard-nosed Oilers teams. They were junkyard dogs, right? And that's why they had a little bit of success, and they were enjoyable to watch. They really emulated, I think, the city of Edmonton, right? That they were just completely embraced. I wanted to ask you something today, because I heard on the morning show Dusty was talking about this with the NBA, and I think there was 47 three-pointers or attempts in the game. And is it ruining the game of basketball to you? Like, is it just coming down, shooting a three, going to? It's not really enjoyable as much anymore.
I don't mind it. I mean, that's a lot for one game, Gager. I think it's the new wave of NBA basketball, right? Like everybody, like even the big guys can shoot now. We're back in the 90s. The big guys were the big guys, and they were in the paint to rebound or to dunk it and to get the easy layup and all that. But it's just the way the game's going. You look at Steph Curry, that's all he does. I mean, there's so many players. And like I said, like you look at like Jokic, you look at Doncic, like all those guys are bigger bodies, but they can all shoot like crazy from the outside. It's just, I don't mind it, but it's just the way it's going, right? It's the new NBA compared to when I started watching in the early 90s. Like I was a Knicks fan because of how rough they played, right? It wasn't always pretty, but they got it done. And for you to score a basket on that team, you had to pay the price. It was the same with the early 90s Detroit Pistons, right?
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, the hack-a-shack rule, right? That's what you did to usually the big man, because he couldn't shoot from the line. I was wondering about that. And even on the women's side, like Caitlin Clark, you know, her whole image is from the logo. That's those, even from the shoes she wears, right?
Yeah.
So, which are pretty cool because I don't know if I mind it or not. That's the thing, but because I do like the physicality of basketball. It's not, I mean, you could say the same thing about hockey too. It's a different game now. It's not as physical as it once was. But I think that, I don't know, those 3-pointers, I think it's kind of taken away a little bit of the enjoyment from my point of view anyway of the NBA.
I like how the NBA on TNT. So Stephen A. Smith was going to go visit the boys over the weekend. They were in Vegas, I think, and they wanted to have a competition, free throw.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaq didn't want to do it. Charles obviously no. And Kenny thought he was too good to do it. He said, "Come on, I'm not going to lose to Stephen A. Smith." And because I guess he played college ball and all that, he knows how to shoot a basketball. So then Kenny said, "Fine, I'll do it, but I'll go left-handed." And he lost. They had to take 5 shots each, and he lost 3-1 to Stephen A. Smith. And then Shaq goes to Stephen A. or something like, "I'll give you $10,000 if you hit a 3." They both airballed like 10 shots. Like it was so funny. It was embarrassing. Like it just Kenny, the nerve on Kenny the Jet to be like, "I'll go left-handed and I'll beat this guy, no problem." Then he only sinks 1. Like, you can imagine how much they made fun of him during that broadcast.
Oh, and that's a good broadcast to watch. If you're ever going to watch a panel, those guys they're next level. I heard this is Charles's last year too. That's terrible. It's terrible.
Why aren't they? I thought they were staying together, or they're moving to.
Are they? Okay, I thought I read that Charles is calling her quits after this season. I could be wrong.
He's a national treasure, man. I love watching the clips from that show. And not just the funny stuff, but they break down the game so well, and they're honest, and I love it. And no one has a problem with it. Not even the players. Like some players will chirp back, but they don't care. Like Charles is like, "What? What are you going to tell me?" And forgot Charles Barkley, like one of the best players of his time too. And then Shaq, you know, I mean, he was a monster, right? Like he couldn't stop that guy. And Kenny was around when I started watching, but probably towards the tail end. I didn't. I know he was at Atlanta Hawk or wherever he played, but and I know he's a NBA champ as well, right? Charles is the only one that hasn't won there yet. Loomis does clarify what he was talking about. Treadmill. He's running 2.5. Good for you. That's about 4K. So when I do the treadmill at my place, I run 5K. I'll probably up it. I like doing more in the summer because I can run outside, but on the treadmill, it's pretty good, Gager. So it's I think 3.1 miles is 5K. So yeah, good job, Loomis. Keep it going, man. That's 4K. Not many people can do that.
I couldn't.
I think
it's because my knees, man. I just even running on a treadmill now, just I need like 2 days to recover afterwards. But
I think they say if you can run 5K, you're in there's not many people in the world that can do it consistently, right? So
sad.
It's going to be interesting. 69 thumbs up. Let's keep going. We're only 31 away. We're about 26 minutes away from handing it over to Reed Wilkins here as the Edmonton Oilers get set to take on the Florida Panthers. Florida shut out in their last 2 games, so you know they're going to be itching to go here. Watch for Sam Reinhart. Always has good games against the Oilers, but the Oilers are flying right now, and they're feeling good. And again, we talked about it earlier, Gage, where I don't think a win or a loss does much for this group. I think for the Oilers, truly, it is just another game. I don't think it's revenge. I don't think it makes them feel better about what happened last spring. I mean, it could, sure, a little bit, but I don't think it's that. I don't think the Oilers players are going into this game thinking this is revenge. I think it's just, hey, boys, we're playing really good hockey. Let's go beat another good team and keep on rolling here.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if they come out with a victory and still play the same way, I think they're going to take a lot from that, right? But even tonight, it's a really good night in the NHL tonight, buddy. Like you got Dallas against the surging Capitals, which I'm kind of interested in seeing how that unfolds. And you got Colorado at Vancouver, right? It's another kind of interesting matchup to see what happens there.
And Vancouver struggles at home this year.
Yeah. And so some games that I would be interested in more so. Vancouver, see where they're at, right? After, are they going to get a response from what Tocchet said and Rutherford of their team so far? Colorado and Dallas, to me, are always interesting to watch just because those are 2 powerhouses, I think, in the Western Conference. Yeah, this is a great night. And the Washington Capitals, I don't know how they're managing to do this, but they're one of the best teams in the NHL. So lots of good hockey games to keep your eye on this evening.
I'm intrigued to see how Vancouver responds after Mr. Tocchet's comments. I think that's the most fascinating part of this game for me. It's just going to see if these guys are kind of start tuning him out, because it does get old when your coach is always a hard ass and all that. So I just want to get to the comment he made yesterday regarding the Oilers, because some people took it like, oh, the Oilers are living rent-free in the Canucks. No, he was just, it was, I think he made a good comparison. He says sometimes guys aren't going to have their A game. We understand that. Some guys were just not engaged. We don't have the team to have 3 or 4 or 5 passengers. We just don't have it. Edmonton, they can have 4 or 5 guys sleeping. They have guys that can win the game for them. We are a team that needs everybody to play. That was the one thing that was most disheartening yesterday, was we had some guys that weren't ready to play. Gage, I don't think that's living rent-free in Vancouver Canucks. Like, I think we're misreading that completely. That's a compliment to the Oilers. A
compliment and probably a stoke in the fire.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is a team that if we want to come out of this Pacific, we're going to have to face Edmonton, right? Probably at some point, or get to your ultimate goal. That's how they see the Edmonton Oilers right now, which is good, right? But yeah, I don't think it's a slight or anything. It's just saying, look, that's the standard, and I think he believes in his team that they can get there, but they can't have any passengers. I was looking too, like with Darnay kind of really falling out of favor, being healthy scratched for a long period of time. Just hypothetically, would you be happy if Desharnais found his way back to Edmonton?
No.
Okay.
No,
All right.
no, but listen.
Jeez.
This team needs an upgrade. And I'm not saying he's a scrap player. He belongs in the NHL. He's a 6'7", okay, on any team.
Yeah.
That's what he is, okay? And that's not a disrespect. 6'7" NHL defensemen are better than a lot of people in the world. He's an excellent hockey player. But when it comes to this team, Gager, I just think you need an upgrade. You need an upgrade on Stetcher. You need an upgrade on Emerson. You need an upgrade on Vinny Desharnais if he found his way back here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you need someone that's just better than these guys. Because that's the reason you moved on from CC and Desharnais, because you were supposed to bring better players, and they didn't. Now, Emerson's coming into his own. He's playing a lot better. He is. I think he's a lock on that third pair with Kulak. But you need to upgrade Stetcher. And I don't think Vinny Desharnais is that much of an upgrade on Troy Stetcher. That's why I say no. I think you need a guy that's a lot better than those two guys. And again, this is not a disrespectful thing. I'm not saying these guys suck. They're in the NHL. They're NHL players. They're excellent hockey players. But in terms of comparing it just in the NHL, the Oilers need a significant upgrade there. And I know they're playing great hockey. People are going to be like, well, Hernan, look at their last 5-6 games. Yes, but come playoffs, Gager, we know this. We saw Vinny struggled mightily in the playoffs, right? Stetcher didn't play because he was hurt. We saw CeCe struggle mightily. We saw Nurse struggle mightily. So this team needs that backup where if one guy's having an off series, another guy can step up, and that's not Vinny Desharnais. So I heard he's back in the lineup today. I saw from Vancouver Board. Good on him. Maybe he can start building some trust because his value really, Gager, is in the PK.
Yeah. Well, that's the first question mark. I said, oh gosh, is this Oilers team able to get their PK back without Desharnais at the beginning of the year, right? Because it was so porous. But then, it started to get better, started to look a lot better. And we heard, George Richards, we got to a point like you had mentioned, the game just got too fast for him at the playoffs. He just couldn't contain. George Richards from Florida Hockey Now saying today, can the Florida Panthers get that forecheck back? Where I had watched a lot of Florida games, it seemed like, over the past 2 years in the playoffs. That was the one thing that I found that was so dangerous for them, was their ability to get on the forecheck and just create havoc for the offensive or the opposing defenders on the other team. Partially the reason why Philip Broberg got an offer sheet, I think, was his ability to avoid that first forward checker, sidestep him, and then make a play. That was amazing what he was able to do last year. So, one of the things I want to see is with that intensity level going to be ratcheted up? Hard to get to the Stanley Cup playoff level, but to a level that causes the Oilers defenders to start making mistakes with that established forecheck. Because I really think that is one of the biggest keys to the Florida Panthers game, is to creating those offensive zone turnovers.
Would you take Vinny Desharnais back? Interesting question. Let us know. 780-218-9999 or hit us up on the Nasty Chat. Loomis says, no, this front office needs to aim higher. Penner's Pancake says they need a legit number 4, not another 6 or 7. And those are all fair. And I know Vinny was kind of a cult hero here. Everybody loved him, and the big hug with Stuart Skinner after their wins and all that. But I do think the Oilers need to aim higher. And I think most people do. But Vinny's just one of those guys that's kind of fallen out of favor, and you could see him being moved. I mean, he's not a big ticket, but he's got a 3-year deal there in Vancouver, so we'll see what happens. Coming up next, we'll continue to preview Oilers, Panthers, and go around the sports world as we close it out here on EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage and Hernan Salas as we get you set for the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne that gets going at 3, and they'll be up until 5:30, and then it's the Oil Stream pregame show with Tom Gazzola at 5:30. That's all coming up next here on EST Afternoons. But first up, here's a sports update with Zach.
It's a Stanley Cup Final rematch seeing Edmonton host the Florida Panthers with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas live for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show at 5:30 right here on EST. Elsewhere, the Canucks battle the Avs and the Caps play the Stars, having just 3 games in the NHL. And Javon Leake has re-signed with the Elks for next season after he recorded over 1,700 all-purpose yards and 7 touchdowns last year. While in the NFL, the Lions will miss David Montgomery for the remainder of the season after he requires surgery to repair his sprained MCL. And tonight it's the Vikings kicking off against the Bears and the Falcons with the Raiders, where you can swing by the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge to catch the action alongside Lieutenant Eric. In basketball, the Raptors hit the court with the Bulls, having 6 games in the association. Gager and Hernan wrap up the show on the other side of the break. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and that was your sports update.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they are the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Celebrate the season by creating space for your holidays. Sentinel Storage. Affordable and flexible storage solutions at a store near you. Shop Canadian, store Canadian. Try 4 weeks free. Visit sentinelstorage.ca.
.45 last segment here on EST Afternoons. We're at 76 thumbs up. We got 155 watching. We should be able to get 24 here in about 9 minutes. So hammer that thumbs up. Oilers Panthers tonight. Rip City Step on the nasty chat. Emerson, Pods, and Kapanen all seem like smart bets, but all that only necessary because they let Holloway and Broberg walk. Sure. I won't disagree with that. I think all 3 players, Emerson, slow start, but I think expectations were a little unrealistic for him, Gager, at the start. So I think people were just kind of freaking out because of that. But he's coming into his own. He's a third pairing guy right now. That's all he is. Pods he's been good. I won't say he's been great. He's been good, but seems to be a lock with Draisaitl and Kapanen's fitting in nicely. He's doing some good things. And that's why we keep talking about when this team is completely healthy. It's going to be some interesting decisions to make because you got to think about the cap and all that as well heading into the deadline. That's the big one, right? And if the Oilers can move quickly, because listen, if Vancouver jumps on a trade here early and the Rangers do and the Sabres do, I'm not considering the Sabres a playoff team, but the Oilers are they might be forced to make a move before they really want to, Gager. But I think if the trade's there, it doesn't matter what month it is, just make the damn trade, right?
Yeah. And it has to be focused on D, right? We're all in agreement here. It has to be looking for a 3-4 guy. I think that's preferably right shot. I think. I don't. It's funny because everyone thinks, okay, well then he fits in with Nurse, but again, I like Kulak and Nurse right now. It's working for you, right? Like that's. It's a really, really good pair, and I think it would be a mistake to split that pair up. They seem to be working well. Now you just got to find that 3-4 that can play in your 6-7 that can kind of stabilize whoever that other partner is. Probably Stetcher at this point, I would say. It could be Emerson too. I'm not sure, but. Both guys seem to be fitting in quite nicely. Emerson's games, I think if you were to breakdown videotape from the beginning of the year till now, there's a huge difference. There's a kid that's starting to get a little bit more confidence at the NHL level, and you got to hand it to the scouting staff to recognize potential with certain players. And losing CC, that was a big hole, it seemed like, but that hole is slowly being filled in with some of these other pickups.
Yeah, you're not missing it as much. I just want to look at Vinny's deal here. Yeah, $2 million for the next.
This is 2 years, right?
It's
this
only
year and
2.
next?
I thought it was 3 for some reason. I misspoke earlier.
Only 2.
Sorry.
And I understood why he would sign that. Look, this was a guy that's been battling in the minors, trying to finally got a chance with Edmonton, wrestled it away from Philip Broberg. Like, he won the spot.
He's to blame. Why Broberg?
He's to blame. Yeah, he's to blame. But you never know how long you're going to be able to play professional hockey. And look, he got a deal where it's going to change his life drastically. Where that's a lot of money that you can be set for life if it's used properly.
Yeah, Haji says the Oilers didn't offer Vinny enough money to stay. Why would they want him back at a higher price while he's having a worse season? Yeah, it's a good point. It's interesting what's going on with Vinny down there. He was always going to be a third pairing guy, but again, he likes his players, and you can tell when he doesn't because they're out of the lineup quite frequently. You saw that with Podkolzin last year. He wasn't a fan of his, and I mean, when you look at Podkolzin here, it's like he's valuable. I mean, he does good things. He's not an elite scorer or passer or anything like that, Gager. I know our buddy Tom Gazzola prefers him in the bottom 6, and I think I'm with him in that sense when this team is healthy. But he belongs in the NHL. That's what's kind of baffling to me.
I just really think getting that he's not a first round pick here. Right, he's a guy that you picked up, a young player with potential. To shed that label sometimes can be the best thing for a player,
for sure.
Because when you come in, especially as a forward, highly touted, was good, and at all levels coming up, and then he had the 14 goals. So in his first year, you think there's going to be some sort of progression. There was a step back, another step back the next year. Probably gripping that stick a little bit too hard. We already saw that at the beginning of the season. Just didn't seem to be going for him. I think it's just a breath of fresh air for this guy, and he's finally kind of playing to his potential. And his potential is okay for where the Edmonton Oilers are right now. He's not counted on to be a 30 goal scorer or anything. He's just providing good, solid two-way play with the potential to contribute offensively, and that's the perfect wheelhouse, I think, for this player.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be at his best every night. They got other guys for that, and he can just kind of roll into a nice role and forecheck and not get scored on and do those little things. So
perfect.
I was kind of, when they signed him in the offseason, I was like, it came right after, was it right after the offer sheets, Gager?
I
think it was
I believe so. It was around there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
sure.
And I remember looking at that and saying, okay, it's a body, maybe a fourth line guy, maybe the first call up. I didn't expect him to come in and have this kind of role with the team, which is good. And I know we joke around and we're a little harsh at times when he hadn't scored and all that, but I think he's kind of made a role for himself where he can play anywhere in the lineup, Gage. And I think that's great for Vasily Podkolzin.
Definitely. And the fact that you've endured yourself to one of the big dogs with the way that you play, that's what you want to do. You want to find, he has done something that you really have to admire, because there's other guys on this team that you could say still haven't found that where they fit in. He came in and, okay, I'm going to finish checks. I'm going to win battles. I'm going to be sound defensively. He probably simplified his game to a point, and he's fit in. He's that piece of the puzzle where, you look at Jeff Skinner and even Arvidsson before he got injured. Adam Henrique to an extent too, still kind of looking for where they fit in, right? What what type of game do they need to bring for the Edmonton Oilers to be successful on a continual basis? They don't have to score every night, but they still haven't found it. So kudos to Podkolzin to figure that out quicker than a few guys with a lot more games under their belt at the NHL level.
Penner's Pancake says, how is Podkolzin not a talking guy? Confused. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
the way
I
this
know,
guy
yeah.
plays, right? Like,
But-
coming in,
yeah.
you're thinking he was just looking for offense, didn't really check or be feisty, but he's the complete opposite of that. It's weird.
Yeah, but that's where I say the shedding of the first round pick, right?
Yeah.
When you go to the organization that picked you, and if you're in the first round, there's a lot of pressure, and the media's on you. How many times do you hear in the media or even us, aside from right now, talking about Podkolzin as a first round pick? We don't talk about it.
It's never brought up.
It's never. He doesn't even hear this anymore, right? He is just a player on the Edmonton Oilers that could put. It's more top 6, bottom 6, not where's this first rounder going to fit in. And I think that's important for him, because that was a guy, from all accounts, from what we heard about and what the people in Vancouver talk about, was a guy that just lost all confidence.
It is game day, 6:30. Puck drop down at Rogers Place. The All-Stream pregame show with Tom Gazzola gets going at 5:30. Reed and Jay coming up next. They'll be on from 3 to 5:30. They got a jam-packed show as well. Always bring the good stuff here. Gager, my man, thank you for tuning in today from your home. Hope to see you in the studios tomorrow. Should be another fun show tomorrow. Gager, we'll see you tomorrow. On behalf of Zach and Joaquin Gage, I'm Hernan Salas. Stay tuned. Reed Wilkins coming up, followed by the All-Stream pregame show. Big shout out to George Richards from Florida Hockey Now for joining us today. Keep the thumbs up coming, and thank you for tuning in. We'll chat tomorrow. Enjoy the game tonight. Ciao for now.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.